Okay, so Diontae Johnson from the Panthers has been traded. I think we heard about this earlier on. I mean, he's strengthening Baltimore now, and I'm sure he's happier to be on a team that's most likely going to go anywhere. But I'm gonna kind of like read in between the lines here with this trade. It kind of seems like the Panthers are throwing in the towel. Diontae Johnson, 28 years of age,
Mm-hmm.
good receiver. And he's one of those guys that I think if you have a good QB, he could
Mm-hmm.
explode as a receiver. Like as soon as he goes to Baltimore, I think he jumps
Mm-hmm.
over Bateman, and that's not even a debate. He's straight over the top with Bateman.
No,
So
it's
he's
not.
exactly so he's already going to be like your number two target and someone that can actually get there. I'm talking like outside, not tight end or anything like that. I'm talking like pure receivers. You got Zay Flowers, most likely the number one, but then you've got Diontae Johnson over there, who's easily your number two. Some would even say him and Zay are kind of like the same, except Zay's had more of a showcase to show his skill set. But back to my main point, kind of seems like the Panthers are kind of like throwing in the towel. Usually, if you have a young QB, you want to rebuild and make sure he has the weapons around him. So this kind of doesn't make sense unless they plan on taking a wide receiver early in the draft, considering as though they're going to be picking the top five, that's for sure. Um, but a wide receiver is not really going to solve the deficiencies of their team. So I kind of don't know where they're going with this. Um, yeah, no, for me, like I said, I'm just going to keep it simple and say it what it is. This just continues to show that the Panthers as an organization perhaps don't really know what they're doing. They're kind of like in shambles right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Head coach position as well. Even though like he's the only one that was brave enough. I don't know what you want to use to take that job. I think he's probably not going to
Probably
be there
said bold
long term.
enough.
Yeah, he's not going to be there long enough. And if as long as and if they don't have a QB already in place or are picking high enough to get a QB of the future, I don't think any head coaching candidates are really gonna want to go there. Or at least the top ones won't. That's for sure. So, in my opinion, this is a really good trade for the Ravens. Like they've solidified. There's like a big jump in their receiving core now. So now they can win with two guys, which is going to put more pressure on defenses. But more importantly, I think this kind of like if you're a Panthers fan right now, this is basically like your season is done. The team is basically retiring right now. You're not trying to win games at this point. And this, in my eyes, this is what this trade kind of signifies.
Yeah, I agree with you. In the sense that, um, I mean, it kind of sounds like is Deontay Johnson becoming the new Brandon Cooks, getting traded at every spot that you go to. Like, I mean, because Brandon Cooks over the years has been tagged as until he got to the Cowboys where it stabilized for him. He was always the expendable guy, and he was very productive. He
Yeah,
produced
it's
everywhere,
true. He
but they
produced
still traded
everywhere.
him anyway. So he was always like the dangling piece or the dangling carrot that's always getting traded. So Deontay Johnson is kind of like finding himself to be that. He's a good receiver that
Yeah,
helps out a lot of teams, especially going to Baltimore. And they didn't give up a lot of games. They give up like I think a fifth or a sixth rounder. Um, Good deal for Baltimore. Things like Carolina is sort of like trying to accumulate assets to sort of like rebuild once again. But I think the decision with the quarterback, I think they're going to Bryce Young again, and try and see if they can bring him back for the rest of the season. I think that's more like a salvageable situation, trying to see if we can salvage, but at least we have a QB in place before we launch and try not to take another rebuild. Um, but good move for the Baltimore Ravens. They needed wide receiver help. I think, especially after last week when they were trying to win the game late in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't like a clutch receiver available for them. And I think Diontae Johnson brings a size element. I mean, he's not 6 feet, he's 5'10", but the way he plays may be conducive to how Lamar Jackson plays. So that might factor into all of that. I mean, I think he's going to be very productive with the Ravens. They're going to throw him the ball. In an instance like I think eventually, with Baltimore, what I would love to see them do is start getting big at the wide receiver position, start getting some 6 feet 2, 6 feet 3 wide receivers.
Possession guys,
Um,
yeah. Jump ball
exactly
players,
with
yeah.
within a system because oftentimes if you only target at like small targets, I mean, Diontae Johnson is 5'10". When you look at the Baltimore Ravens and you check their current roster, I'm just trying to just bear with me 1 second. I'm just trying to see the wide receiver options they've got this year and how tall they are. I mean, Nelson Aguilar's like 5'10", 5'11". Rashad Bateman, um,
I think he's
he's
only
six
like
one,
six
one
four.
ninety six.
Yeah, but you need like a six
He's only
three,
six
six
footer.
four guy.
They've got
Yeah.
save. Yeah, exactly. You need a six. Even if the guy is 6'2", that and can jump, that sort of sometimes make up for it. So they need to get a little bit bigger. Otherwise, supposed to Justin Johnson is a nice piece, but they need someone that's a bit taller and
It's kind of like
that
more of
can
the
do really
same.
good on the jump ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the words of some coaches, stop bringing me these Smurfs. That's what that's what the head coach will say, man. What's with our GM keeps bringing in these Smurfs?
The Smurfs can ball though.
Smurfs can ball, yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, great trade acquisition for the Ravens, and it might be, like I said, depth play, and also a skill position play as well. So that's going to help pay dividends later on in the season. Remember, when games get tight, people get injured, you need guys that can kind of keep going, you know. So I think this just shows that it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. In one side, the Ravens are loading up, looking for a deep run, trying to go to win it all. On the other side, the Panthers are kind of like throwing in the towel and saying, we're just gonna start this rebuild now. We probably don't have our
Hmm.
QB of the future. Let's just get as many assets as we can. We're gonna pick in the first 5 rounds of the draft. The way things are going, let's just see what we can do. So yeah,